Guys, let's talk about DuckTales Remastered. Our review this week is DuckTales Remastered.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll kick things off here. Now, I wasn't sure about this game, but actually, Tom and I had a chance to play it at E3. Do you have our footage for this?
Probably.
We saw this a couple months ago at E3.
Probably.
And at the time, I was kind of unsure about this. I wasn't sure because there've been a few.
A lot of Beagle Brothers.
Yeah, there they go. There've been a few of these kind of remakes recently where they find one of these old, popular games that was on the original Nintendo or something similar, and they redo it. They put a new spin on it. So I wasn't sure about this one, but I was surprised about this one. When they say remaster, they really mean it. This is pretty much the same game as the original one, but obviously with some updating. The same locations, same gameplay, but now it's got full voices, cutscenes, and a few extra things. There's some extra things to do outside of just going through the levels. So why don't we kick things off with the graphics?
I heard it. I read a description that said it was a handcrafted game, which made me laugh because it's a video game.
Yeah,
it's all made in a computer. But I guess the characters are animated, like animation, hand drawn.
They look animated.
Yeah,
from Disney.
As you can see, that was a good example with the plane there. This game is 90%. I'd say 90% 2D. So all the stuff here is 2D. Most of the level stuff is 2D, but there are some 3D pieces like the plane there, and there's some other parts of certain levels. Yeah, the treasure chests are 3D. Let's see.
This looks pretty much.
The art is definitely well done here, though. The art is extremely well done. I think.
I was a little bit hesitant at first because when I originally saw it, I was like, well, it's DuckTales. It's gonna look awesome, but I was like, it almost reminded me of when Secret of Monkey Island had that remastered edition, and it felt like they just took the game and just pasted high-res characters on it. But then when I actually played it and I got a close-up look at it, it actually
remade completely.
It looks really good. Especially when you see some of the larger enemies, they look like they're out of a cartoon, which really fit the tone of the game. So I was a big fan, and everything looked nice, had nice vibrant colors, and really put you in the mode for the type of game that it is. So big fan. Loved it.
Yeah, and as you can see, let's see, I gotta do this thing here. Yeah, I didn't have any complaints on the graphics myself.
Usually this type of game is sort of a format, and there's not much to complain about. It usually is what it is, and it's.
It
looks pretty cool.
I don't think it's by the numbers. Well, example, this level, the Transylvania level. One, I think it's expanded really well, and there are some
bigger.
Really
it's much bigger.
It's pretty non-linear as well.
And stuff, and
there was no backgrounds in the original.
You go into the lower levels of this castle, and it gets all dark, and it's you're in a dungeon. It really puts you in the mood for that level. I mean, all the levels look awesome, but this Transylvania level was a real standout for me as far as the graphics and the look of it are concerned.
Oh yeah, it looked great. The moon level looked really cool too.
Yeah. So even right here, you go outside, and it's funny because in the background you can see the minecart rails, and you're actually riding on that the same type of rails.
Yeah, that was a cool touch. So you actually use that minecart track there later on.
Obviously the camera's closer up, but to show that as part of a whole area, it really kind of kicks up the immersion a little bit, even though it's a 2D side scroller. I thought that was really cool.
There you go. Okay, so yeah. Very good, excellent on the graphics.
This is exactly the same.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, the game looked great. They did a great job with it.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the sound though. So let's see. I started playing. The first level is the money bin, and the music was good. And then one of the things that stood out for me, so you play the first level, and then right after that, the Scrooge's supercomputer comes up and it starts playing. It's redone, but it's the same music from the original NES game when you're at the computer picking your level, and that to me that was really cool. That was well done. The other kind of level themes were kind of hit and miss for me though. I'll bring this up and Jeff can chime in. The Transylvania theme has this kind of dubstep spin on it.
Oh,
and
that didn't really bother me too
that
much.
was kind of weak. I didn't like it, but I would understand if some people thought it was a cool twist on it.
I didn't even realize it first. I think you said the same thing. I'm playing through it and I'm the dun 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 dun, and I'm all right, a little remix. But then I hear and I'm like, wait, am I hearing that? I'm like, are they dropping bass in this haunted castle? What's going on?
Well, I mean, they're trying to update the sounds.
to
make it relevant.
I mean, I didn't hate it, but I definitely. I don't know how necessary it was, like, to just include dubstep in this type of game, but I guess that's what they want to do. Yeah, fine.
It's not dubstep. It's duckstep.
Oh man.
You got us there.
You got that from the chat.
Oh, and look at this. Yeah, here's another cool part. This is one of the extras. So, you can go to the art gallery, you can buy stuff, you can swim in the money bin, like
Swim in the money
Swimming in the
I remember that bin being a lot more full.
I don't know.
Well, the Beagle Boys stole a lot of treasure, so
that's true.
it happens.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. They robbed it there, but
That's the GameSlean vault.
Yeah.
The music though, the music for me was that there was only the Transylvania thing, and then the Himalayas one has this I don't know, I didn't care. It's okay. It has this kind of weird guitar part. It's like this metal guitar part that's in that they added in there. It's like
just guitar solos.
To be honest, the rest of the music. The rest of the music was awesome. They did the one thing everybody's gonna wonder about is the moon theme. Okay, did they nail the moon theme or not?
I thought the moon theme.
Yes,
was awesome.
they did.
The moon theme was good.
It sounded really good.
I got to the level I didn't play. I kind of want to play the moon level first just to hear because that's everyone talks about DuckTales are awesome NES tunes and they're like, oh, the moon level from DuckTales. But I played the Amazon level first just because that's all I always do that when I played the original, and then I was like, all right, going to the moon level, and I let my guy sit. I let Scrooge sit there for a minute, just let the loop play for a bit, and I was like, quality. I would listen to that on my own. I mean, I listen to video game music anyways, but that's definitely a quality update to that tune.
Sure. The original would just loop the same exact thing over and over, but this one, the moon theme here is extended, so it's a little bit more interesting.
I think they've expanded their RAM capabilities in this.
Oh,
yeah,
of course. A little bit.
They're chugging way more gigabytes.
Yeah, a lot more gigabytes being chugged.
I also, if we're gonna talk about
chugging gigabytes.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah. Not to go backtrack too, I just want to mention about the graphics again too. I thought some of the animations looked really good with the enemies themselves, the way some of the enemies die and stuff, like he's flailing, his limbs are in that moon stage when you hit the robot type guys that kind of explode. That was cool. Back on sound, also music except for the weird the duck step. I thought the voice acting was really good too, just right out of the original. Right? Yeah, right out of the original show.
Exactly. That was the next thing on my hit list here. So they brought in all the original voice actors. And I believe the one I wasn't sure about is the guy that voiced Fenton. The guy who played it's like Fenton, was his last name Quackshell or something?
Yeah, he doesn't sound the same.
What was his character?
He's Gizmo Duck.
Gizmo, that's what I was trying to think of that.
I'm not sure if they got him because his there
he is, blathering blatherskite.
So because his sounded a little bit off. Maybe it's the same guy, so I don't know. But
he might just be older.
Yeah,
it's, 25
years
ago.
They said the guy who voices Scrooge though, he's 90-something years old. But they said he came in. He came in. Yeah, he came in. He did his lines and it's just absolutely spot on. All the characters, the voice acting is perfect. And yeah, so that I don't think there's much else to say about the sound. The sound is excellent.
I don't think that you had tag-along characters in the original.
Well,
right?
that's actually something they kind of changed on there.
Yeah.
This is just for this segment. He's just kind of bringing them over here because he's got to use them to get into the next area.
Oh, okay.
So,
but I mean, the original, much simpler.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well,
that didn't happen.
Yeah.
That's you did see in the original, and again, this is kind of goes with graphics. You'd get caught in the flower, but he would just kind of flash in and make that ant sound. This one, he wriggles about and whacks him with his cane,
that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it adds to it. They really up the animation on there, and it looks, again, really sucks you into the game.
Right. We're pretty much there anyway, so let's just roll right over to gameplay. As you've seen here, the gameplay is almost identical to the original. Your main mechanic is to just jump and bounce on it.
The pogo and the whole golf shot type thing.
Oh yeah. Yep, that's in there.
Yeah, plays the same.
What I like about the changes, though, one, I get kind of a Metroid vibe, as you can see from the map on there, from the levels. Obviously, it's not as big a scale as Super Metroid or Symphony of the Night, the Castlevania, but each level, it's not linear, but you do have even the Amazon level was more straightforward before. This one, you kind of have to check all the side paths because most levels you have to collect a few things before you can proceed to the end. So there's a little bit more exploring, and you have the map to kind of
just beating the level
to guide you through. I like that aspect, and I thought it was done well enough on a smaller scale. I wouldn't mind seeing this company who did this remake, actually try to do another game that was maybe on a bigger scale with that exploring aspect. Because I thought it translated well to this game, so I want to see more of that. And you mentioned the tag-along characters. I thought that was cool because in the moon level you get Gizmo to blow up the wall for you. This time he walks with you, and while you're walking with you, he's taking out enemies with his heat-seeking missiles.
Right.
Which actually doesn't work that well. That part was kind of annoying. Because the missiles take a few seconds to actually be delivered.
Oh, yeah,
so in the
they're
meantime, you're getting
place,
hit the whole time.
I wouldn't rely on them, but it was a nice touch.
Yeah. Well, when I went through that, I was just like, it seemed silly to me to wait for those to get out and kill the enemies. So I would just try and hop in there and kill the enemies myself. But yeah, that was it would kind of throw you off because you're like, okay, do I let the missile blow them up or do I try and move forward? So yeah.
Right.
So yeah, the one other thing I wanted to mention, and I want to make sure I'm not just remembering this weird. Like one of the things I noticed is that like when you're bouncing on the cane, I seem to remember this from the old game. Like if you move too close to a ledge, he won't bounce off it, and he just kind of lands.
Yeah.
And like that screwed me up so many times because you think he's just gonna keep going, and you're timing your attack to like jump on an enemy or jump onto the next platform, and like that cost me so many deaths trying to like mess that up and just land too far on the ledge and just
that was probably my biggest like death cause in this game was kind of miscalculating the bounces or just like not hitting it right or not hitting the button right at the same time and not even bouncing, just landing on the guy and getting hurt. So it should be noted too, this game uses a separate bounce button too. You can set it where yeah, so
like in the
original. The original with just the two buttons. It took me forever to figure out.
I noticed that in the options, and I didn't set it.
Yeah. You can switch it around, but I mean, I don't see no reason to. I mean, you have the extra button. Don't see no reason.
Leave it.
I want to bring it up, or if Chris, you want to bring up boss battles in this game.
Yeah, sure.
They're totally expanded and like way more involved, and they're awesome. Again, I started with the Amazon level, and the original game you get the little the statue kind of bouncing around. It does that in this one. It was more difficult for that aspect, but then he kind of jumps in the background after you get a hit off him. And he's shooting all these like walls at you, and you're dodging these traps, and then that's kind of like how all the boss battles happen. It's just not straight like bounce on the guy 3 times. There's a little bit more involved as far as like dodging their attacks and everything. It was I was into it. The bosses just looked bigger too, and more vibrant. So
yeah, the boss battles were definitely really well done, and that's just like that. The overall game, pretty much, that's why it's called remastered. They took 95, give or take 95% of the old game, and they added a fresh coat of paint. They updated some stuff, and they just did an excellent job all around, I think.
Yeah. I also want to point this out because as I was getting ready to play this game, I know there's obviously some major like publishers putting out the reviews, and I saw a lot of reviews that weren't too good. I think.
Like IGN and GameSpot gave it pretty negative reviews.
You mentioned that earlier. I didn't have a chance. I didn't catch those reviews, but that's surprising.
Well, because I was reading like message boards about getting myself typed up, and someone's like, "Oh, here's a review," and everyone's like, "Oh, well, whatever. I like DuckTales." And I looked at his GameSpot, like, whatever. If you like their reviews and everything, I'll read some of their articles and stuff. But they gave it a 6.0, and I'm like, oh, like did they really like screw it up? And I saw another review, and they're like, well, it doesn't hold up as a platformer, and I'm like.
Why?
When I heard that, I'm like,
it's a hard game.
I go back and play the NES original.
It totally does everything well as a platformer.
Yeah,
do those guys know what a platformer is?
I don't understand how that doesn't hold up. I think it holds up really well. So I was a little worried. I was like, well, maybe they screwed something up in the remake version. It just doesn't play as well. And I was playing it, and I was like, how did this get bad reviews? I can't, maybe not a perfect score just because, it's not the longest game and it's, it's a 2D platformer. Maybe not knock off some points for that. But on a 10 scale to give it like a 6, like what, what's the actual flaw of this game? Because it played really well. It had good music. It had good graphics. I just didn't understand.
Maybe they thought it was boring.
I think
or
part
they
of what
thought it was too hard.
Well, if you think this game's boring,
I think part of what the problem is that it's not a big game like Modern Warfare, and that's
what I think too, Tom. I kind of agree. It's like people don't go for this kind of thing that much anymore.
Which, I mean, I can understand. You know, I guess it's not for like the newer generation of gamers. I mean, I think some can appreciate, but
You mean I don't blow anybody's
Yeah,
head off?
actually, I had a note about that. I feel like this game's strongest audience is going to be those people that grew up with the TV show,
Old
the
people.
movies,
Like us.
or people that played the original game. So, maybe unless you were a fan of it before, maybe
But,
you might not get it.
I don't know. Even if you didn't play the original and you see this on Steam, on PSN, on whatever system you're going to get it for, it's a solid platform. I can't see like anyone looking for a new platform and not having fun with this. Like I thought it was solid all the way through. My only gripe was I wish it was longer because I got through it pretty quickly because it is, like I said, a remake of the NES
It's
game.
just 5 levels, right?
So I
levels?
sped through it in a few hours and. I had fun the whole time, like a frustrating bit here and there, but, I just don't see what all the negativity on the game was, because to me it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, IGN, what's up? Answer for yourselves.
It was more
Yeah, I don't know.
GameSpot, whatever.
I didn't bother reading that because I was too busy playing
IGN,
it,
did
but
this
yeah,
company
that,
not...
That to
did-
me
did-
is surprising. I
Did
don't
this
know
company
why.
not pay you off? Is that why you're not giving it a good review?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say about this, and I'd like to see, I wouldn't mind seeing more remasters of this, of all the old Disney Capcom collaborations from like NES and even some of the Super Nintendo ones, because we were talking about this earlier, there was a spot in time where it was like NES or Capcom and Disney were doing all these NES games. Well, they had, DuckTales 1 and 2, there was Chip and Dale's 1 and 2.
They had a lot of shows out at the time, too.
Yeah,
though.
and then in Super Nintendo they did Aladdin. They even did just like some Mickey Mouse theme games like Magical Quest, Star Mickey Mouse. I wouldn't mind seeing updated, more expanded versions of all these games if they translate them as well as DuckTales did, because those are all like, to me, awesome platformers. And they're all licensed titles, which is weird. You'd think they wouldn't be good, but...
Maybe they're tied up with Square right now or
yeah,
something.
who knows? But like the Capcom Disney collaboration was awesome. So if they're not going to put out like new games like that, just do remasters of the old games because they were fantastic. It was fresh enough for me to enjoy it again.
Yeah, totally. Okay, time to weigh in. Let's take a look at our scores. What are we going to say on this here?
Buy it.
Buy. There it is. All three of
Buy.
us.
Buy it.
Oh, but there we go.
So
It's only $14.99. You'd be crazy not to buy it.
$15.
yeah, I mean, this game was a buy for me. If you're a fan of DuckTales or you like the original game, this game's worth the money. If it goes on sale, or if you don't want to spend the money, borrow a friend's copy, but definitely give it a try. It's awesome.
Can you borrow a copy? Is it a disc?
You can get a retail version of it. It comes with a special Disney
there's a
pin.
full disc release.
Is there a disc release? So
And is that also $15 though?
I will throw this out here. I got through it, and it was like just a little over 2 hours, so it's not the longest game. So if you're looking for that like time played against the money you spent, it's it's a little on the low side, but it's fun the whole way through. I could play it again. So worth buying if you can find it on sale though. I mean that's
Yeah, wait a couple weeks for Steam to put it down to $10 or something like that.
So, but I mean, either way, you're not going to regret. I don't think you'd regret even paying the $15 for it. I know PlayStation Network, if you're on PlayStation Plus, they did have like a sale for a week where you get it for like $10 or $11. So, totally worth the purchase. If you like platformers, this is worth the money.
Buy it. Ooh.
Buy it.
Buy it.
There you have it, guys. DuckTales Remastered.